Oh, Fortuna will make you feel afraid. The affliction that is spreading through Washington is Oh, Fortuna-induced insanity. OFII. And right now, it is spreading through the Democratic caucus. During the presidential campaign, the idea of closing the prison at Guantanamo was a political winner. Everyone was on board. Obama was on board, McCain, congressional Democrats, congressional Republicans, even President Bush was on board. There was sort of general agreement that Guantanamo had become a lawless liability, a symbol of America not living by its own ideals. It needed to be shut down, and pronto. When President Obama signed the order to close Guantanamo in January, again, massive support from both sides of the aisle. So today, when it came time to vote on whether President Obama would get the money to close Guantanamo, the measure, of course, passed unanimously. Sorry, I'm sorry, I've just been informed the appropriation was defeated by a vote of 90-6. 90-6? What changed between everyone's on board days and now?
So where are they going to go?
Military bases like MCAS Miramar or Camp Pendleton.
To the Navy base at Charleston, South Carolina.
From Guantanamo Bay to Alexandria, Virginia.
What changed is incredibly scary music was set to the problem. Republicans threw a completely over-the-top, parody-begging, ridiculous punch, claiming that somehow closing Guantanamo would mean releasing all of these dangerous terrorists into your neighborhood. They'll be delivering your mail. They'll be babysitting your kids. That punch had nothing behind it. It had no basis in reality. It had no claim to even rhetorical power. But it was apparently strong enough to knock out the Democratic Party. Today, a grand total of 6 Democrats voted to give the president funding to close Guantanamo. 6. What happened to the other 53? That's right. That music! OFII. Oh, Fortuna-induced insanity. Democrats who once supported closing Guantanamo suddenly came down with a vague, non-specific fear that caused them to take totally incoherent political action. Take Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid, for example. In January, Reid applauded President Obama's decision to close Guantanamo, saying, quote, revising the way we detain and interrogate terrorist suspects will help America more effectively fight terrorism and make Americans safer. Yeah, shut it down. That was Harry Reid then. Harry Reid now?
United States Senate, Democrats and Republicans do not want terrorists to be released in the United States. That's very clear.
No one's talking about releasing them. They're talking about putting them in prison somewhere in the United States.
You can't put them in prison unless you release them.
Can't put them in prison unless you release them. He has obviously been afflicted. He has O Fortuna-induced insanity, OFII. A spokesman for Senator Reid added further incoherence today when he tried to clarify Mr. Reid's stance by saying, quote, at this time he opposes transferring detainees to American prisons. At this time? But then maybe sometime in the future he'll drop the weird Republican talking point about putting people in prison being the same thing as putting people in your child's kindergarten class or just out on the street loose. At this time? What does that mean? Then there's Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein, who actually made a very sensible argument before the vote today.
We have maximum security prisons in California, eminently capable of holding these people as well, and from which people, trust me, do not escape. So I believe that this has really been an exercise in fear baiting. I hope it's not going to be successful.
Right. If there's one thing America can do, it's imprison people. That makes sense. It is just fear baiting. Okay, the clerk will now call the roll. All those in favor of stripping this funding, all those who disagree with that eminently reasonable argument from Senator Feinstein?
Senators voting in the affirmative. Mrs. Feinstein. Mrs. Feinstein. Aye.
Aye? Senator Feinstein, you just argued for the funding, for closing down Guantanamo. Now you're voting against it? I think she's been afflicted too. House Democrats have also come down with OFII, O Fortuna-induced insanity. They caved and stripped the funding from their version of the bill last week. Thankfully, though, there are still some the virus has not spread to.
The reality is we are holding some of the most dangerous terrorists in the world right now in our federal prisons. And you ought to have a little more respect for the men and women who are corrections officers who put their lives on the line every single day to keep us safe and to make sure that those who are dangerous are detained and incarcerated.
Senator Durbin and the 5 other Senate Democrats who voted to fund the closing of Guantanamo today, we have masks. The virus is coming. Do not let it spread to you.